In the windswept highlands of Scotland lies the desolate expanse of Blackmoor. The moor is a vast, barren land, dotted with patches of heather and crisscrossed by ancient stone walls. It's a place where the fog rolls in thick and heavy, and the howling wind carries whispers of the past. At the heart of Blackmoor stands an old, crumbling manor known as Ravenscroft Hall, abandoned for decades and rumored to be cursed. The story of Ravenscroft Hall begins with the Muir family, who built the manor in the late 1700s. The Muirs were a wealthy and influential clan, known for their dark secrets and strange practices. The last Lord of Ravenscroft, Alistair Muir, was a reclusive man who dabbled in the occult. In 1834, a terrible tragedy struck the family when Alistair's wife and children were found dead under mysterious circumstances. Alistair himself disappeared, and the manor was left to decay, haunted by the ghosts of its tragic past. In the present day, a young historian named Fiona MacLeod decided to investigate the mysteries of Ravenscroft Hall. Fiona had always been fascinated by the legends of Blackmoor and the Muir family. Determined to uncover the truth, she gathered a small team of researchers, her best friend and fellow historian, Aidan McAllister, tech expert Callum Fraser, and psychic medium Isla Grant. Together, they set out to explore the abandoned manor and document their findings. The journey to Ravenscroft Hall was fraught with difficulty. The moor was treacherous, with hidden bogs and sudden drops, and the weather was harsh and unforgiving. As they approached the manor, the fog thickened, and an eerie silence settled over the landscape. The towering silhouette of Ravenscroft Hall loomed out of the mist, its windows dark and empty, like eyes watching their every move. Inside, the manor was in a state of advanced decay. The once grand halls were covered in dust and cobwebs, and the air was heavy with the scent of mildew and rot. Despite the eerie atmosphere, Fiona felt a thrill of excitement. This was her chance to uncover the secrets of Ravenscroft Hall and solve the mystery of the Muir family's tragic end. The team set up their equipment and began their investigation. Callum placed cameras and motion sensors throughout the manor, while Aidan and Fiona examined old documents and artifacts. Isla, sensitive to the presence of spirits, wandered through the rooms, her senses alert to any signs of the paranormal. As night fell, the temperature inside the manor dropped sharply, and an unsettling feeling settled over the team. They gathered in the grand hall, where a massive fireplace dominated one wall, its hearth cold and empty. Fiona spread out the documents they had found, which included Alistair Muir's journals and letters. According to these, Fiona said, pointing to a particularly worn journal, Alistair was obsessed with summoning a spirit he called the Shadow. He believed this entity could grant him immense power, but at a terrible cost. Isla shivered, her eyes wide. "I can feel it," she whispered. "There's something dark here, something that doesn't belong." Suddenly the temperature plummeted further and the candles flickered violently. A low rumbling sound echoed through the hall, followed by the creaking of old wood. The team froze, their eyes darting around the room. "Did you hear that?" Callum asked, his voice trembling. Before anyone could answer, a shadowy figure appeared at the far end of the hall. It was tall and indistinct, its form shifting and writhing as if made of smoke. The figure moved towards them, and an overwhelming sense of dread filled the room. "It's the Shadow," Isla gasped. "It's here." The team backed away, but the shadowy figure advanced, its presence growing more oppressive with each step. Fiona, clutching Alistair's journal, began to read aloud from a passage she had marked earlier. To banish the shadow, one must recite the incantation and offer a token of the summoner's bloodline. She read, her voice shaking. "Only then will the curse be lifted." Desperate, Fiona searched through the papers for the incantation. She found it scrawled in the margins of a letter, barely legible. Taking a deep breath, she began to recite the ancient words, her voice echoing through the hall. As she spoke, the shadowy figure hesitated, its form flickering. The air around them grew charged, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to tremble. Fiona continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. "By the blood of the Muirs, I command thee to return to the void from whence you came," she shouted, holding up a pendant she had found among Alistair's belongings, a family heirloom. The shadow recoiled, its form twisting and contorting as if in pain. With a final, ear-piercing wail, it dissolved into the air, leaving the room eerily silent. The temperature began to rise and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The team stood in stunned silence, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Isla, her face pale, turned to Fiona. "You did it," she said softly. "You banished the shadow." Fiona nodded, relief flooding through her. "The curse is broken," she said. "Ravenscroft Hall is free." In the days that followed, the team documented their findings and shared their story with the world. The legend of Ravenscroft Hall and the shadow on the moor became a sensation, capturing the imaginations of people everywhere. The manor, once a place of fear and darkness, was eventually restored and turned into a museum, preserving its history for future generations. Fiona, Aidan, Callum, and Isla remain close friends, bound by their shared experience. They continue to explore the mysteries of the past, always seeking the truth, no matter how dark or terrifying. And though Ravenscroft Hall stood silent and serene, its halls filled with light and life, the memory of the shadow on the moor lingered, a reminder of the power of courage, friendship, and the enduring fight against darkness.